Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time to discuss some of the players that the Blue Jays could have re-signed, but chose not to. And a huge statement from Fanatics that came out. We are going to discuss all the ramifications of these uniforms this season.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Well, as we've been drilling into you guys for the past little bit here, we are headed to Toronto, May 17th to the 19th for the Tampa Bay Rays series for Country Night down in Toronto. This is going to be electric. I am pumped up. Carter is ready to go. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, Brayden Fiasco, Carter First 2. Hit the subscribe button here on YouTube as well. If you're listening everywhere else, we really appreciate it. Just keep listening to the episodes. And also, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Blue Jays. Carter, something that has been in our pipeline for a while now is taking a look back at some of the players that the Jays could have re-signed and either chose not to or that decided just to leave the Blue Jays in general. Where do you want to start?
I think we have to start with Matt Chapman. So first off, I'm going to say we are only about 31 games into the season. That's just under 1/5 of the way. So a lot can change, but we decided to go over the first 30 or so games, kind of see how the season has developed so far for these players. So I'm going to start with Matt Chapman here. So obviously a ton of debate this offseason, wanting to bring Matt Chapman back, not wanting to bring Matt Chapman back, definitely split the fan base in two. Over on this podcast, we were firm believers that we did not want to touch Matt Chapman with a 10-foot pole. So far this season, it looks like we're pretty correct. Again, it is early on in the season, but Matt Chapman is hitting .221 with 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and a .656 OPS. For a guy that's making $18 million a year, and again, it's not our money. There is no salary cap in the MLB, but there is luxury tax, so that does change some things. I don't think I'm missing watching Matt Chapman at all. I have not watched a ton of Giants games this year, but I'm assuming Matt Chapman is doing the exact same thing as he was doing last year, and that is missing middle fastballs. I was sick of watching Matt Chapman last year. Matt Chapman, at the start of the year, probably one of my favorite players on the Jays because of that unbelievable April. The at-bats got worse and worse and worse. And clearly, we made the right decision so far to start the season with Matt Chapman, letting him walk to the San Francisco Giants.
Well, Carter, as you know, I'm a big Matt Chapman fan. After coming off of, watching Josh Donaldson growing up, him being my favorite player of all time, then seeing Matt Chapman come in and produce the way he started, I was a huge fan immediately because he gave me, a look back at Josh Donaldson a little bit. He played very, very similarly. And then he fell off a cliff and into the water, into the stream, and floated away and fell off another cliff. And then we never had to see him again. So, no, I'm with you. We said it. We talk about this all the time. Matt Chapman was obviously not going to be our third baseman, especially for the contract that he wanted with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now he's only making $18 million a year. And I say only, I don't know if he's worth $18 million a year, but I do want to take a look just at sort of his counterpart of who we brought in, and that's IKF. Now, you can also make the argument that IKF was brought in as a Whit Merrifield replacement, as a little bit of a platoon sort of, defensively sound piece. But at the end of the day, we're not paying IKF a whole lot less, but IKF, if you look at the numbers, at the statistics, IKF is technically having the better season. Do I think that he's playing above and beyond or up to where his salary is? No, not for the amount that guy plays nor should play. I don't think he is living up to it. But if you look at the stats, he is doing something for this team. Whereas I think when we look back at Matt Chapman, there were times where we'd almost pay Rogers money to take this guy off the field.
100%. Just doing a little bit of a dive into Matt Chapman here. So far, the stats for most of his hitting are not good. He is in the 14th percentile in walks rate. He is in the 30th percentile in strikeout rate. He is 29th percentile in chase rate. All things we are very accustomed to in that 2023 season. One thing that Matt Chapman is doing very well this season is he is barreling up balls and he's hitting balls hard. His average exit velocity is in the 91st percentile. The barrel percentage is in 76th. And then the hard hit percentage is in 82nd percentile. But saying that, the expected batting average and all those expecting stats are pretty bad. So he's clearly hitting the ball hard. Not that often, it seems like. But with Matt Chapman, I don't want to hear his offense at all. I don't want to hear the argument about that. IKF, like I said, so far this season, IKF somehow is doing better than Matt Chapman. Defensively, you got to take Matt Chapman, obviously. But are you taking that $11-ish million more for Matt Chapman's defense over IKF? I'm personally not. Matt Chapman, if you have him on this team, he's your starting third baseman every single day, and he is trapped there. You have no option other than to play Matt Chapman at your third base. IKF, you can play him anywhere. You can take him in one day. You can take him out another day. It gives us more of an opportunity to play guys like David Schneider, Ernie Clement. As we are 31 games into the season, I said going into the season, I don't really understand this IKF signing, or I should rephrase. I do understand it, but I don't like it because they run an IKF as like a safety net. If everyone's playing bad defense, you have IKF. But now you just have another mouth to feed. And when you have David Schneider, who's hammering baseballs, you have Ernie Clement, who's playing really good baseball. Addison Barger now getting called up. IKF is a little bit weird in this lineup. But for me right now, Matt Chapman or IKF, easily IKF.
Yeah, and you know what? Talking about Davis Schneider, he has moved into that. They've taken him out of the third base role. I think they want Ernie Clement to be that guy as he's getting more reps there. Davis Schneider is playing a lot of second base and a lot of left field. Carter, who does this remind you of?
Reminds me of a guy who used to, again, be one of my favorite players on this baseball team, Whit Merrifield. Unfortunately for Whit Merrifield, as again on this podcast, two guys that we did not want back on this team, not because we didn't like them, their attitudes, maybe their play style. Matt Chapman for me, Matt Chapman, different story, but Whit Merrifield, I really wanted actually Whit Merrifield back. The problem was the contract was never going to work out. He wanted like an $18 million option. That is just not enough, or that is way too much money to pay Whit Merrifield. And unfortunately, that is showing throughout his stats this season. He's hitting 209 with 1 home run, 2 RBIs, a 546 OPS. His contract is only a 1 year, $7 million deal. He does have the $8 million option. Going into this season, there was a problem with the veteran presence a little bit in this infield. You do have IKF a little bit to throw that in there. But Whit Merrifield, he's so limited in his power. Yeah, he was getting on base a little bit last year, but he was very he had a lot of stretches where he was good, and then he had a lot of stretches where he was horrible. Very inconsistent player. One thing that we've clearly noted throughout the offseason, throughout this season, we need consistency from these players. Whit Merrifield, unfortunately, was not able to do that for us. And the same argument you have here with the IKF situation. Again, Whit Merrifield would have been another mouth to feed. This move is a little bit more weird for me because you do go to IKF in the offseason. I guess you do want to prioritize defense more often. Whit Merrifield isn't a bad defender either, but I think you got to take IKF in that situation. And right now, again, I wish Whit Merrifield the best. Not looking too good right now with the Phillies, but I think Ross Atkins made the right decision in this one as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was the right decision. Don't get me wrong. I loved Whit Merrifield, but looking at Ernie Clement and David Schneider wanting to give them more at-bats, there is just no room. We got some young guys that are potentially ready to make the move, like Addison Barger or Revis Martinez. Those guys would have never gotten the option if Whit Merrifield was playing for this team. Yeah, and I've always been a Whit Merrifield fan. I've liked him. I like Chapman. To be honest, it was sad to see these guys go. But I think now looking back, I know we have some disagreements in the comments of some of our videos with some people, but it's good. That's what sort of sparked this conversation to take a look back at these guys and how their seasons have started so far. And at the end of the day, you got to look at the guys who we'd have playing because, yeah, you could compare. You could say, well, Matt Chapman's hitting better than Bo Bichette so far. And okay, but that wasn't the trade-off. The trade-off would have been is that we wouldn't have seen Ernie Clement and realistically Davis Schneider very much at all this season. Maybe Davis Schneider moves into that left field role, But at the end of the day, they would have gotten way more limited at bats. It would have been just brutal for their development. And I think we're seeing that explosion this year. Is they're two guys that are driving this offense along with Varsho and Justin Turner. So it is a weird question around these two. Just I think the whole thought process and a little bit it's changed since the offseason from the end of last season to the offseason to the preseason to now. There's been a lot of time and there's been a lot of time to reflect. And I think looking back over everything, it just wouldn't work out. And Carter, one guy I know we're really not going to touch on him because we really can't touch on him before we get into our last guy is Brandon Belt. And obviously you were a fan of Brandon Belt. I wasn't so much a fan of Brandon Belt. But obviously it was completely the right decision because you bring in a guy like Justin Turner, who is debatably one of the best hitters in the MLB right now. And his veteran presence seems to be doing so much more than Brandon Belt's did last season.
Yeah, 100%. Brandon Belt, I feel like, was a failed experiment by the Toronto Blue Jays. I feel like they wanted Justin Turner last year. They just didn't get him because of Brandon Belt. He's just a fun-go-lucky guy. He's never going to be serious. He's always the guy making jokes in the clubhouse, and that's not what the Toronto Blue Jays team needs. They need a guy that they can look up to. They need a guy that's going to help them, kind of mentor them throughout the season. Clearly, it's been helping with David Schneider. Brandon Belt, a fun guy to watch. I think he was very good for the Toronto Blue Jays with the statistical-wise, just not exactly the mentor figure that you were looking for. Justin Turner, I could talk about this guy all day, honestly. I could say a million good things about him. What a signing. Look at this value, too. 1 year, $13 million. I can't believe how many people hated this deal in the offseason. It absolutely blew my mind. Again, he is 39 years old, but he was not showing many signs of regression. And people were freaking out about this move. Justin Turner, this is the biggest move we have. Shohei Ohtani, yeah, that sucked. With Justin Turner, you get so many different facets in the game of baseball. He's been way better than expected. The only fault I can say with Justin Turner and Brandon Belt is you did have the option to put Brandon Belt at first base. I guess you can throw Justin Turner there. Haven't really seen it much this season. Had Justin Turner try out at third base one game in the season. Horrible experiment. Never do that again, please. Keep Justin Turner either at DH. I don't hate him playing first base, but Justin Turner's days in the field for me are done. Just let's rely on this guy's bat. That's why he's here. That's why he's here. That's what he's here to do.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And you know what? We've talked about some of these guys before and throughout different episodes and whatever. But I think it is important to have these deep dives. And one guy I think me and you both know wasn't coming back this season was Jordan Hicks. And Carter, just overall, your thoughts on Jordan Hicks? I mean, I think we both would have liked to see him come back, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, with Jordan Hicks, he's such a fun pitcher to watch just because of the velo. But that's one thing that the Blue Jays were lacking for a very long time is we never had a guy that was throwing over 100s. We had Jordan Romano touching it once in a while. Nate Pearson when he was here. Now Nate Pearson, that situation is looking a lot better for us. But with Jordan Hicks, the situation with the Giants now is pretty interesting just based off what he's doing over there. So he signed a 4-year, $44 million deal with the Giants. And their plan with him was to make him into a starter. He started with the St. Louis Cardinals. Horrible experiment. But the St. Louis Cardinals are historically known for being terrible at developing their pitchers. So he comes from the Blue Jays, does pretty well out of the bullpen. Just, again, this bullpen's so good. Didn't want to throw that much money over to him. Again, when you look at an $11 million per year deal for a reliever, you think that's a little bit on the expensive side. But now this guy is a starter, and holy crap, he is popping off. He has 6 starts this season, a 1.59 ERA, 34 innings pitched, 27 Ks, 10 walks. This contract is going to look like a steal if this guy continues to pitch like this.
Yeah, and he's doing great. And I think me and you both knew that's where this was leading to. It's just we didn't have the space nor the thought, I think, to keep him around. Who knew what was going to happen with Alek Manoah? Who knew what was going to happen with Bowden Francis? Who knew what was going to happen? I mean, nobody knew about the Ariel Rodriguez until that happened. So there was a lot of different things at play. And I think this move just had to be made. I hate to say it. Would have I loved to see him stick around? Absolutely. But it's just not the hand we were dealt. Anyway, guys, we do want to get into some George Springer statistics. Carter put together this huge sort of play. It's almost a player profile for his season so far, but not quite. And then, of course, we still have the Fanatic stuff to get into. So we're going to take a quick break and come back with all of that.
Today's episode is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of betting against thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players to the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. PrizePicks is super simple to play. You can make your picks in as little of time of 60 seconds. I'm all the way in on Justin Turner. This guy has shown me that he is not regressing whatsoever with age, and he's continuing to be a dominant force. So I'm hammering more on 1.5 bases and more on 7.5 fantasy score. If you want to ride with me, or if you want to fade me and kind of make fun of me in the comment section, that would be funny too. But you can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. Mother's Day is coming up quickly, and if you have not already, you should start thinking of some gift ideas to show your mother how much she means to you. Whether it's flowers, gift cards, self-care essentials, or gifts specific to your mom's interest, DoorDash makes the delivery process a breeze. Pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. Is she a bookworm? Try a bookstore gift card. Does she love a good latte? Get a gift card to her favorite coffee shop. You can't go wrong with DoorDash. Get thoughtful gifts she deserves with the convenience you need. Choose same-day delivery or schedule a week ahead for flowers when gifts should arrive to her door with DoorDash. Get all of your Mother's Day gifts all in one place and get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now with code LOCKEDONMLB. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply.
All right, so George Springer hasn't had this season so far to remember. But, Carter, I know you've broken it down. You've looked at, I think, 1 million analytical views. I don't even know what the right term is here, because you looked at everything from left to right to up and down to wherever. So give us an abbreviated version, I'll say, because I don't know if we need to go into everything you looked at, but give us an abbreviated version of what you're seeing.
So before I do that, since I did do the deep dive into the analytics, I want to go to you for the eye test. Obviously, you've been watching all of these games. You've been watching the George Springer at bats. I'm going to give it back to you. How has George Springer looked to you based off the eye test?
That's fair. Like I always say, I don't like going off of the analytics, because sometimes in different people's at bats, you're seeing different things. Sometimes they just get unlucky. Baseball is, I hate to say it, a little bit of luck. Where the ball goes off the bat, it's not all controllable, right? It's all reactionary and very uncontrollable. In saying that, he's looked just horrible, to say the least. It does not look good. I feel like when he does hit the ball, he hits the ball hard. But it's if he's hitting the ball is the biggest thing. If he's hitting the ball, he looks like he has no idea what he's going up there to hit. It doesn't look like he's going up there with a purpose. Every swing is a guess. I feel like that's what it looks like. He goes up there and he's just hoping that he picked the right pitch in his head for that specific moment. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know what he's going up there to hit. Some guys, like we talked about Davis Schneider, about working on, okay, I'm hitting those inside pitches and he's moving. So he's moving closer to the plate so we can get more of that outside pitch. Great. That's exactly what you should be doing. You should have a plan for each at bat when you go up to the plate against each pitcher. George Springer doesn't look like he's doing that. He looks good in the outfield. I will say that he's made some plays. He looks pretty good. But at the plate, it is just a disaster, Carter, to say the least.
All right. So in terms of fielding and base running, George Springer is above average, to say the least. He's ranking around 70% in all those categories. Now, George Springer, I kind of had the same analysis as you. I didn't think he was having very good at-bats. He did kind of look lost up at the plate, and those stats do reflect that. But I looked at his baseball savant and his expected stats. So his actual stats are he's hitting .219 with an on-base percentage of 311, and then a slugging of .343. Just from that, an on-base of 311 and a slugging of 343. Clearly, this guy is not hitting for power whatsoever. He's not hitting extra base hits. He only has 4 doubles on the season. When George Springer hits the ball, he's lucky if he's getting a single, it seems like. But saying that, I was surprised to see this. The expected stats are better than his actual stats. His expected batting average is 275. For George Springer, that's pretty good. He's never going to be a guy that's going to hit 300. 275, you're going to have to take that. On base is 344, and his expecting slugging is 419, which is a little bit better. But one of the biggest problems with George Springer is not hitting for power. That's one of the first things I realized. I thought, just watching, I thought he was kind of striking out a lot more than he actually was. But God, was I ever wrong? His strikeout rate is 12.6%, and it's in the 92nd percentile. His walk rate's also good. So after that, I'm like, what is wrong with George Springer? Like, that was the surface level things that I looked at. I couldn't figure it out based off that. And the problem with George Springer stems from how he is hitting sliders and changeups, the breaking pitches. So George Springer's whiff percentage on the slider is 32.7%. with an average of 182. And on the changeups, it's 28.6% with an average of also 182. So clearly this guy is just not hitting the off-speed pitches. He's squaring up fastballs decently well. He's hitting 240, which isn't great off a fastball. He's hitting 280 off a sinker. So, I mean, I guess that's some good knowledge there. Fastballs aren't the problem for George Springer. He's looking like a mess at the plate when pitchers are throwing him sliders, throwing him changeups. He's not even getting close to the ball on a lot of these swings. And I think that's why the eye test is failing him so hard. It's because some of the swings he is taking are absolutely horrible. So yeah, he might be hitting the ball a decent amount of time, but when he's missing the ball, he is missing it badly.
Yeah. And you know what? That sort of goes back to my point of going up there with a plan, right? If you know that you're hitting fastballs well or better than you're hitting everything else, you should be going up there with a plan to sit on a fastball, right? If you're not hitting good, you need to go up there looking for something specific. And when you're not looking for something specific, you get those higher chase rates, those horrible looking swings, the garden hose, as they say. And that's exactly what George Springer's problem is. So yeah, it's the eye test, but it becomes back to an approach. All these guys need to be coming up there with an approach, because when pitchers are throwing 102 at you and then dropping off a 79 mile an hour curveball, it's tough to hit. It's tough to hit. It's tough to be a big leaguer. So you got to come out there with a plan and an approach and something that'll help you not chase these pitches.
Yeah, I think we just got to hope that George Springer does figure out how to hit the changeup, how to hit the slider, because a lot of people are saying Father Time is starting to show on George Springer. But I'd like to say that if Father Time was really showing up on George Springer, I don't think he'd be doing nearly as well as he is in the outfield. So I can't think of that as being a reason why George Springer is struggling. It's just got to be, like you said, an approach thing. Maybe look more for fastballs. Clearly, you're not hitting sliders well. Or maybe you just got to maybe you're looking for sliders off the start. Maybe he's looking for fastballs too hard and he's getting absolutely beat by the slider because he's just swinging out of his shoes and he's getting out in front on it. So saying that, that's how I'm going to leave George Springer. He's got to be better. It is only 30-ish games into the season. Still early. He does have time to turn it around. Right now, George Springer not having great at-bats. I don't want him at 1. I know you don't want him at 1. Leave your opinion in the comments. Do you want George Springer to stay at 1? Do you want him to move down to the order? Some people have him at 5. Some people I've seen want him down at 7. I think that's a little bit crazy. I'd probably have him at 5, but let us know what you think we should do with George Springer. So one more thing I wanted to bring up before we do head into the series preview and the Fanatic stuff that you wanted to bring up. What is going on with the left field corner view at the Rogers Center? As soon as somebody hits the ball down the third base line, I have no idea if it's fair or foul. You can't tell. Like, they disappear into the corner. There's such a high porch there that you can't even watch the game. I can't believe that we're 30-ish games into the season and Sportsnet hasn't done anything to give us a better angle on those plays. Eventually, at some point throughout the season, somebody's going to make a sick diving catch over there, and I'm not going to see it, and I'm going to be really mad because this team so far throughout the season has shown they aren't a very offensively strong team. They're very good defensively, and I do like watching spectacular defensive plays, and they're taking that away from us with that left field porch. I just wanted to know your opinion on that left field view that we're getting from Sportsnet.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. And I think anybody that watches these Blue Jays games consistently, they'll say the same thing. It's not getting better. It's tough to see those plays. I mean, we could have debatably missed a Davis Schneider diving catch over there. So it is frustrating to see because you don't want to miss plays like that. You don't want to miss if a ball's fair or foul and that be maybe the tying run gets scored. Maybe the winning run gets scored like that. That's terrible. My solution to this would be to go to a camera system that the NHL has implemented, where it's the 360 view. I think the NBA has it as well. Just so on those plays, even if you can't capture it within the specific moment, at least you can get the replay up there right away and give a breakdown to those plays. If that's the best they can do, then I'll take that, which I don't know necessarily how that would work in a ballpark, but I think something to that extent would be the fix here. Again, I'm no, tech smart, whatever. I'm just a lonely radio producer, right? We don't we only deal with so much technical stuff.
Again, I'm not a tech guy either, but the only thing that I could think of that may be a problem, depending on where they put that ring camera, is the baseball can probably hit it. Are the odds high? Definitely not, but it is a possibility. Again, Sportsnet.
And an expensive possibility.
But Sportsnet has enough money. If they lose a camera, they lose a drone, however they decide to get that view in that left field corner, I'm not going to be worried about them breaking a drone. Like, whatever, man. Like, they can figure it out.
Fair enough. We got a lot to get into. Big Fanatics news. Everybody's mad about the jerseys and the pants and everything that comes along with it. So we're going to get into that.
Yes,
we're going to.
Oh,
I know. I was going to send it. I was going to send it this time.
I wasn't giving you the opportunity here.
I had it right there. We do have the series preview not the series preview, the last game preview as well. But Carter, where should people go and check out Locked On?
NFL draft just happened. I'm pretty happy with my Panthers draft. NHL playoffs going on. I don't know if I'm happy with how the Canucks are playing. 3-1. I'm definitely taking that. NBA playoffs. It looks like there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I am so busy with all these other sports that I'm not really a big NBA fan, but I'm assuming a lot of you guys are. There are a lot of good matchups in those series. So it's a perfect opportunity to get our Locked On expert analysis either on the Amazon Fire TV's channel app or the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel. Both of those are 24/7. So whatever time you want to tune into your sports, you can do that. So we are going to move on to the Fanatics discussion and the last game of this Royal Series.
Today's episode brought to you, of course, by Monopoly Go. I know. We talk about Monopoly Go a ton, but there's so much good stuff in this game. Me, my friends, Carter, everybody, we've all been playing it. In Monopoly Go.
Carter.
Sorry. Yeah, I guess me and Carter are still friends.
Crazy.
We'll see. Maybe not after
podcast.
Maybe not after our golf round tomorrow. You can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. Unique stickers you could trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. I know what you're thinking. They're not the stickers you're thinking. They're like a token or a prize thing. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constant changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or robot. I don't even know what this is. Pachinko machine. I think I think it's like a Plinko thing, but I'm not 100% sure. My friends have not gotten to the stage that I'm at, caught me yet, so I haven't been able to do it.
We can roll with that, I guess.
Probably not.
Hey, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt on this one. I didn't give you the benefit of the doubt earlier on that segment, Reed, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on this one.
Yeah, well, whatever. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. They help a ton, I'm not going to lie. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. I'm not going to lie, Monopoly Go might be one of the craziest games I've ever played in my life. There's like 9 million things going on, and I don't know how people don't like it's like TikTok for a game. It's like you're just on there and you think you're on there for 10 minutes and it's like 25 minutes later. It's insane. Anyway, this Fanatics debacle, I don't know. I got a headache. I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows a thing of what's going on here. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a breakdown because I'm pissed. I wanted to buy the new, I think the Jays were supposed to come out with their City Connect jerseys this year. That would have been the quickest purchase of my entire life. But I don't know. It's iffy. If they're going to be bad quality, I don't want to do it. So this is what was said. Pretty much the MLB came out and said it's a Fanatics problem. Fanatics came out and said it's a Nike problem. So Nike is the designer, quote unquote. Fanatics is the manufacturer. So Fanatics is saying that it's a design issue, not a manufacturing issue, which we've all seen. That ain't true. It doesn't matter how, yes, maybe the pants being see-through, the jerseys not being as, that they're absorbing a lot of sweat. That's a design issue. But the numbers falling off or misplaced, that is a manufacturing problem. So there's been so much back and forth between who's right, who's wrong, who's in the wrong. Turns out I think it's everybody. I don't think anybody made the right call here. And so Fanatics, the MLB, and Nike have all came out and said that before the opening day of 2025, these jerseys will be fixed. A lot of players have said that they used to get fitted for their pants, their jerseys, everything. Like specifically, they'd get them tailored to them, exactly how they like it. That was not the case this season. This season, they were given an option of small, medium, large, or extra large, which is crazy because that's like I'm ordering a jersey off the rack. That is insane. And as a player, I can understand how that gets frustrating. Not having stuff how you specifically like it. You work your whole life to get up to the big leagues, and there's perks that come with that in having your stuff specific to you. And guys weren't able to get that this year. And of course, the rips in the pants, the rips in the jerseys, the sweat dripping off people at this point, it's just all been not good. So Fanatics, Nike, and the MLB are going to change this going into 2025. Are we going to see it this year? Probably not. It's not what it's looking like. It's so much to turn around too quickly within the season. I don't know if this will affect. There hasn't been anything that's come out that said this that would affect like store-bought jerseys or anything like that. So if people are still having issues, I'd say highly suggest to go and contact Fanatics MLB. They are dealing with a lot of issues right now. So I'm sure
it'd be a long line.
Yeah, it'd be a wait, but I think overall, I'm hoping this problem gets solved. I think the players hope this problem gets solved. And the league itself hopes this problem gets solved because they don't want to see all these posts on Twitter about people ordering jerseys and the players complaining and whatnot. Carter, looking at this, I don't want to ask you whose fault it is, but whose fault is it?
I'm going to say that it's MLB's fault for completely just switching the jerseys. I thought the jerseys were fine. I thought the jerseys kept them going the way they were. You start something new with Fanatics. Clearly, it's not going well. I'm not blaming Nike. How would that even be a designer problem when you got numbers falling off? You got terrible layouts of last names. Some of the jerseys I saw with hyphenated last names were absolutely ridiculous. They were going in a full circle around the top of their back all the way to the other side. It's just a crazy situation, completely botched situation. I can't believe that the MLB decided that they're going to treat the MLB like a 6-year-old T-ball league and just go small, medium, large. Again, maybe on the surface, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but especially for pitchers, any little thing that's wrong with a pitcher can completely affect their day. That's why you have people with broken fingernails on the mound. You're like, oh, they're out with a broken fingernail. Yeah, that matters for grip. The pitches aren't going to be as effective if they have stuff like that. So it's something as a jersey, if it's a little bit too big, a little bit too small, that can definitely affect pitching.
And then it's the sweat stuff too, right? If you're a pitcher trying to throw a baseball and you're dripping sweat down your hand, it's going to affect it.
Yeah, how are you supposed to grip the baseball, right? What are you supposed to rub it on the pants that are already sweat drenched? There's no option here. Then you got the rosin, and then there's discussions of, oh, you use sweat and rosin. Is that cheating? All that kind of stuff. So that could completely develop into a different situation. But long story short, this whole situation was completely botched by honestly everyone involved.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward into next year. I mean, I still have my Jays jersey from 2015-16, and they are excellent. I never have an issue. I've ordered a few other ones. I've been trying to collect the different teams that Josh Donaldson's played for. I have a Freddie Freeman jersey. I have a Shohei Ohtani jersey from the Angels. I have a Mike Trout. My brother has a Shohei Ohtani jersey, I believe, from the Angels. And a bunch of other ones, and they're all way better designs. There's no number problems. There's nothing. There's no names are falling off. They are fantastic. I've never had an issue with them. So hopefully moving forward, the fans won't be let down. But we do want to say we wanted to just sort of give you guys a quick outlook on today's game. Of course, it is Chris Bassitt versus Seth Lugo. Carter, this is another sort of interesting matchup. I think this is going to be a tough one for Chris Bassitt.
Yeah, he's had a couple of interesting starts recently. He's had a lot of starts where he's gone 6 innings and been very effective, but he's had a couple blow-up starts as well. This Royals lineup is very weird. For some reason, I hate that this happens, but somehow, some way, every single time there's runners in scoring position, who's coming up for the Royals? Bobby Witt. Every goddamn time. It drives me nuts because he's such a good baseball player. He had a routine ground ball in the first game to IKF at short, and it wasn't even close. Like they were trying to turn a double play. They got the flip to 2, and Bobby Witt was way past the screen by the time the ball got to first base. That guy is ridiculous. Pretty much, you got to limit Salvador Perez and you got to limit Bobby Witt. If you can do that, Chris Bassitt can find a way to do that with these 2 players. You're probably going to be pretty successful against this Royals team. Again, you want the offense to score runs. Hopefully, we do get the 7 runs. Again, we are pre-recording this, so I will make a TikTok and a YouTube short about the Tuesday game. But as of right now, we don't know what happened on Tuesday. Hopefully, it did go well. But again, hopefully the Jays won, and hopefully we have a series setup or a series sweep setup with Chris Bassitt on the mound.
Yeah, hopefully. We want to thank you guys, as always, for watching. We know sometimes these pre-records, you don't get the game recap. We don't want to do these all the time, but once in a while when we have a ton of stuff to go over that we've, maybe had saved in the bank for a while, we sort of want to get all this stuff out. And sometimes we just take a day, especially when there's not a series break in the week. We want to get one of these out just so that we can cover everything that we've missed or that we couldn't cover during the week with, time. We don't want to make episodes we don't want to be a Joe Rogan podcast over here going 3 hours, which some days it feels like we could. So we want to keep them short and sweet, just enough time for you guys to, if you're in your car, if you're going for a walk, it's just the perfect amount of time. You're not having to, play half the episode and then play half the episode later, or, you miss half this episode and then you go into the next episode because we're every day. So we hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you guys drop a subscribe button here or hit the subscribe button if you're here watching on YouTube. Everywhere else, we really appreciate it. Again, check us out Twitter, Brayden 5 Oscar Carter First 2, and on TikTok and Instagram at Lockdown Blue Jays. Carter, anything else from you?
May 17th and 19th, we're going to be in Toronto, Tampa Bay Rays series. We're fired up. Country night, I believe, is Friday. We are looking for different places to go, whether it's bars, places to eat, different just tourist events. We are Toronto virgins, so we don't know too much about what's going on over there. We have done our research, but what better people to ask than you guys, especially if you are living in Toronto firsthand. Give us your recommendations on pretty much anywhere we can go. We're definitely open to some options here. And the last thing I did want to bring up is the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Amazon Fire's TV app, either one, 24/7 content, sports content, NBA, NHL, whatever sports you really want. College sports obviously going on as well. Perfect opportunity to digest your sports content. Hopefully we sweep a series. Chris Bassitt, pound on the mound. I'm fired up for him. I believe he's going to have a great start. I'm predicting 6 innings. Brayden, give me a strikeout total for Chris Bassitt.
I'll give you an over-under. Over-under 4.5.
Oh, I am hammering that over. Hopefully Chris Bassitt, huge day coming from him. We'll talk to you guys on Thursday.